Hello everyone and welcome back to Safari Mack Explores North America. I'm Safari Mack, your guide and host, helping you make connections to the wild. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I hope we all enjoyed last week's Halloween special, looking into the lives and seeing the truth about bats. But now that we are in the month of November, we're going to get ourselves back on track and we are going to continue with our journey through the last frontier state of Alaska. Therefore, we'd like to bid farewell and adieu to both the Kenai Mountains and the Wolverine and Dall sheep. And today we're going to a community that's only accessible by both air and river, not by rail or by road. And we're talking pretty far north. Umiat, to be exact. And today we're going to hang out, we're going to look for a creature that is a subspecies of a creature that's been given the name Silent Hunter of the Night. Meet the snowy owl, or known by their Latin name of Bubo scandiacus. So if you're ready, we'll get started. But as always, if you're new to my channel, hit that like and subscribe button. Check out my Facebook page for content on conservation tips that you can do in your own home. And finally, if you have questions about animals, or if there's an animal that you would like me to do in the future, just send me an email, which you will find the link to down in my description below. But if you're ready, I'm ready. Let's begin with its evolution and its family. Now, by now I'm sure you know that the owl itself is a member of the raptor family. And when I say raptor, I'm not necessarily referring to the non-avian dinosaur. I'm more referring to the group of birds that are also known as birds of prey, which includes eagles, hawks, falcons, even vultures. And so here's a little quick reminder as to how they originally appeared. It's thought that these birds were thought to have originated somewhere around 60 million to 57 million years ago, somewhere within Wyoming of today. Now, genetic testing has actually shown that the snowy owl is maybe diverged from their closest cousin, the great horned owl, otherwise known by their Latin name of Bubo virgianus, somewhere around 4 million years ago. Now we'll get into their habitat and their lifestyle. Now, you may think because it's an owl, they would probably prefer to hang out in the trees, right? Not necessarily, but we'll get to their habitat requirements a little later. For starters, here's a male snowy owl, as you can see, nearly completely white, and then females tend to have these markings all over their feathers. Now, juvenile males will look a little bit like females, but as they reach more full maturity, they will begin to turn more white and look like their fathers. Now, their habitat is more, you would find it more up in the frozen north along the tundra or in knolls and ridges, all within around the Arctic Circle, where their breeding areas would tend to be covered with moss and lichen and other low to the ground plant vegetation. And another pretty impressive thing, this creature, despite it being a great predator, it's actually known to be as a migratory species, as they will fly off during the winters to escape the winter and spend until it's time to head back up north again. Now, here's a little map of where they can be found. Now, unfortunately though, because of where they live and because of the harshness of their environment, it's kind of not always easy for us to tell exactly where they may go during the southern regions. What do I mean by this? I'll explain a little bit later as we get, especially into next week's episode. Now, during the summer, which is basically what up in the north you would call the 24-hour sun, these birds are making the most opportunity as they can to raise their young. So after they would breed and lay a clutch of anywhere between 5 to 11 eggs, mom and dad take turns incubating until they hatch, and even this can be a bit of a challenge for the owls, because despite it being a 24-hour sun, owl hatchlings or owlings tend to take a long time to reach full maturity. So here you gotta take as much advantage as possible to fatten up, because soon enough, by the time they're ready to take off, the Arctic will soon become a 24-hour night. And that is when it really gets difficult to survive up there. For anybody who lives up north, I'm sure we already know exactly what I'm talking about. Now let's get into their diet. Now, for starters, I'd like to explain something pretty cool about these birds. These birds are both similar to two different kinds. Like, their snowy owls are considered to be like this raven, a generalist, as well as a specialist, which is like this snail kite bird. Now, what do I mean by this? So, a specialist is an animal that only can survive on a certain food group, while generalists tend to eat basically whatever they can find. Often, generalists tend to do much better than specialists. So here's the situation for the snowy owl. During the summer months, or at least when they're up here up in the Arctic during the summer, lemmings are highly on the menu. In fact, they are so sought after, this specific species, that if there's not enough lemmings or if there's not enough food, the birds themselves will not mate. They will actually refuse to breed because of scarcity of food. Because, as we know, raising their young can be very energy demanding, as they need to constantly eat and eat and eat just to fuel this explosion of growth, so that they can get away from wherever they need to go to and be able to survive. However, thankfully, snowy owls will do whatever they can to survive, and they will prey upon other animals like these birds, and they are also even known to scavenge and take advantage of carrion, such as this owl is doing with this waterfowl. But anywhere from waterfowl to rodents, hares, weasels, ground squirrels, whatever they can find, they will take advantage and will eat as much as possible. But the lemmings really are considered to be like the ultimate source, especially for growing chicks. And so here's a little something interesting that I have not included, but I would like to explain. So owls cannot at all digest fur or bones or other parts. So they are only able to get and this is going to be a little gruesome, so fair warning. They're only able to eat the meats, so like the organs and even the flesh, but not the fur, not the hide, not even the bones. So they have to cough that back up into a form that ornithologists call pellets. And this has been a great tool in helping us learn about owls, because this can help us identify exactly what was the last meal that an owl has eaten. I myself, during my time working at volunteering at an animal hospital, I had to help take care of a species of owl, and I was always told to be on the lookout for these pellets and to report if there were any that had been coughed up. If there weren't any, then that meant that the bird was still digesting as much food as possible. Finally, we're going to end today's episode with their influence in human culture. Of course, we probably already know about Hedwig, the snowy owl from the famed Harry Potter series, Harry Potter's own pet. But we're going to go a little beyond that. And we're going to look at owls in general as a whole for their influence in human culture. So, in some cultures, owls have been seen as great fortune. In fact, the Inupiat people of Alaska called the snowy owl Ukpik, which helps them to they relied on their eggs as a food source, and have basically seen these creatures as important in their society. Even in cave paintings in France, a painting was discovered of a white owl found within a cave somewhere in Argerige, France, where this is the first white owl ever recorded in fossilized human history. And even more, while in the Mediterranean, owls have been considered to be bad luck, in Russia, hunters wear the claws as a way of being able to help them fly up to heaven. And even in Mongolia, owls are their skins are hung on doors to ward off evil spirits. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's all I have for today. So until next week, this is Safari Mack. I'll see you all out there.